Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So what I have today, it is going to be another transfer rumour roundup video, and taking place, some of the rumours going on around the Championship. We have quite a few big players who are being linked away from Championship clubs and to quite a few Premier League teams who are seemingly interested in quite a few Championship players at this point in time. So what I'd love to know from you guys is, what are your opinions on all of the transfer rumours which are currently circulating around the Championship? Are you a little bit worried that your club could be losing someone, or are you excited about the prospects your club could be bringing in? Also as well, let me know down below, how happy are you overall with how well you think your club has done in the transfer window so far? Do you think the business you've done so far is a good sign of what's already to come, or are you a little bit worried going into this season because you don't think your club has done enough business yet? Let me know down below, because that could be an interesting topic to discuss. So without further ado, let's get into some of the completed transfers which have recently gone down in the Championship. So the first one we have to talk about is, of course, Will Hughes, who has completed his transfer to Watford. Of course, he's leaving Derby County, and more than anything, I'd love to get some Derby fans' opinions on what you think of this transfer. Of course, he's a player who has abundances of potential. However, I think it's fair to say that his career has stalled a little bit over the past 2 seasons, primarily due to injuries, and that has of course seen Will Hughes now leave Derby County. The fee in the end that he went for was £8 million, and whether he's going to be a first team regular at Watford, it's yet to be seen really, and whether this is going to be the best thing for his career. But Derby fans, let me know down below, are you a little bit disappointed? Because of course he's a player who came through the youth academy at Derby, he's been there all his career basically, and to see him leave now, you know, when he's not really had a complete breakthrough season like I know a lot of Derby fans were hoping he would eventually have, and you know, he'd bag like 10 goals or something like that. He was never really that pivotal to any Derby side that he played in, although he would show glimpses of what he could do. So in the end, he's gone for £8 million. Is that a good deal? Let me know down below. Another young player who has been on the move is Josh Harrop, who has completed his transfer from Manchester United to Preston North End. What's quite interesting about this is that he actually rejected a contract at Man United to go ahead and play first team football at Preston North End, which in my opinion, you know, in the long run I think it will be the right decision for him. I'd like to see more young players follow in this route really. I think that for their longevity of their career, of course you get a couple people like Marcus Rashford who are just like 1 in a million who break through at the first team. But I genuinely think that for younger players, it's better for them to be playing competitive football in the Football League than it is to be playing in under-21 football. And as a Preston fan, I'm very interested to see and excited to see what Josh Harrop has to bring to us. Mateusz Klich has also completed his transfer. He's moving to Leeds United. I don't know all too much about this guy, but he is moving the Polish midfielder from the Bundesliga over to Leeds. He is a holding midfielder and has gone for something in the region of about 1.5 million. So he could be a decent little addition to that Leeds midfield. I mean, Leeds' midfield at this point in time really is shaping up into something nice, and they're also being linked with a couple midfielders, which we'll talk about in a minute, who could seriously strengthen their midfield even more. But at the moment, Leeds do look to be building a decent little side. Cameron McGinn is another player who has completed his transfer. This time he's moving from Luton Town to Barnsley, and he's actually got a very good goal scoring record in League 2 in his past 2 seasons at Luton. He's managed to go ahead and bag 24 goals in the league, which is no easy feat. It's just going to be a question of whether he can make that transition up from League 2 up to the Championship. But with him only being 22 years of age, he of course has loads of room to go ahead and grow into the player that Barnsley will be hoping he does turn into. And a goal scorer midfielder, he could be a decent addition. Whether he'll instantly make that addition up to Championship football, it's yet to be seen, but he could be a decent one for the future for them. And then finally, our last completed transfer to talk over is that of Danny Ward, who has completed his transfer to Cardiff City. Now, Danny Ward moving, of course, from Rotherham United, who were relegated last season, to Cardiff. Last season for Rotherham, he managed to score 11 goals in a struggling side, which is not a bad achievement for him. The only question is, I know a lot of Cardiff fans have aspirations really of making it into the top 6 going into this season. Will Danny Ward be that player to take them and elevate them onto that next level? I'm not so sure. Cardiff fans, let me know down below, because I think last season goal scoring was a little bit of an issue for Cardiff last season. Will Danny Ward be a player to completely fix that? I'm not so sure. So now guys, into some of our transfer rumours. Now the first transfer rumour is actually going on with a manager, and that is Simon Grayson, who is currently being linked with a move to Sunderland. He's been linked with a move to Sunderland pretty much throughout the majority of the past 2 months, but he is now the favourite for the job after the Aberdeen manager did fall through and he's turned out to be not interested, as well as Nigel Pearson also saying that he wasn't interested in the job. But the Simon Grayson going to Sunderland rumour all depends on the takeover. If the takeover does take place at Sunderland, Grayson won't be going to Sunderland, as it appears they do have a German manager lined up. However, if the takeover doesn't take place, Grayson could be on his way to Sunderland. So there's quite a lot riding on this as to, you know, Preston's season being in the balance and Sunderland as well with their takeover. No one knows what Sunderland are going to do next season. Guys, let me know down below, how do you think Sunderland will perform next season? Because I think there's just so much imbalance at Sunderland at this point in time that whoever does get the managerial job, it's going to be a hell of a challenge for them to make the top 6. Then to another transfer rumour we have currently going around, it is Tom Ince, who is being linked with a move to Huddersfield. So Derby fans, I would love to get your opinions on what do you value Tom Ince at? Currently, apparently Derby value him at £10 million. That's the figure that Huddersfield are going to have to pay up if he is going to leave Derby County. But Derby fans, what do you think of Tom Ince overall really? Because from what I've seen of him, he's a very hot and cold player. When he is, I'd say the only thing he's lacking from his game is probably consistency. When Derby are playing well as a team, Tom Ince is that #1 guy who's really driving them forward. He's probably their most creative player, can score some great goals as well. But when Derby are playing bad, Tom Ince seems to fall into that pattern as well. He's a bit like a player who, depending on how he plays, is how he's feeling, sort of. He's sort of that sort of player who floats in and out of games. So is he irreplaceable? Probably not for Derby. Brad Potts is the next transfer rumour currently going around the Championship. The Blackpool midfielder is currently being linked with a move to Barnsley, of course. Barnsley already signing a central midfielder, but Barnsley's squad currently is in need of quite a few players, you know, to go ahead and bolster their squad if they are going to go ahead and improve on last season's what was a pretty good season back in the Championship. But Brad Potts, his last 2 seasons for Blackpool, he's managed to go ahead and bag 12 goals, and considering he's only 23 years old, I know a lot of people highly rate Brad Potts, so to step up to the Championship, I think that could be a good move for him. A very interesting transfer rumour going around at the moment is that of Johnny Hughton, who is being linked with a move back to Leeds United. We've already spoken about Leeds so far in strengthening their midfield, but they would just be, I mean, if Johnny Hughton does complete a transfer to Leeds United, they could really be a force next season. However, a major stumbling block in this is that Norwich actually value him at £5 million, and considering he is already 29 years old, is £5 million really worth it for Johnny Hughton? I'm just not so sure. Another young talent from the Championship is Jacob Murphy, and understandably so, he's currently being linked with a lot of clubs. So Norwich fans, let me know down below, what do you rate, how much do you rate Jacob Murphy at? Because currently the price tag being talked around is that Norwich would not accept anything less than £12 million for the dynamic winger, and if Jacob Murphy was to leave, I think that would be quite a significant blow to Norwich, really. I thought from what he showed last season, he could have an integral part to play in this Norwich side if they do manage to keep hold of him. Currently the clubs being talked about in terms of being linked to him are Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Swansea and West Brom, so a lot of Premier League clubs are interested in this guy's signature, and understandably so. Assombalonga is another Championship player who is being linked with a couple of Premier League clubs as well as Middlesbrough. Currently the Premier League clubs being talked about for Assombalonga are both Huddersfield and Burnley. However, the price tag that someone's going to need to pray him away from Nottingham Forest is going to be around about £10 million, and wherever Assombalonga does end up at the end of the transfer window, whether that is still at Forest or elsewhere, the only thing they need to be aware of is his injury record, and if they are willing to take a risk on a £10 million for quite an injury-prone player, I'm not so sure. Guys, let me know down below if you think Assombalonga is worth that, if you do consider his injury record. I mean, in 47 starts for Nottingham Forest, he's managed to bag 30 goals, which is pretty mental in itself, but it's just a shame he can't always play. Glen Whelan is another player being linked with a move to a couple championship clubs. Glen Whelan is being linked with a move to both Derby County and Aston Villa. He's 33 years old, quite a no-nonsense central midfielder really. He'll add a bit of steel and a bit of grit to either of those midfields, and I think Derby especially are definitely in need of that sort of player in their midfield if they are going to make the top 6 going into that season. Villa already have that sort of player in Jedinak, but they do need a backup for him when Jedinak can't play. So Glen Whelan will be a good signing for either of them if he does go. He is 33 years old, and currently the price tag on him is £1 million. So £1 million for a 33-year-old, there's pros and cons to that, and it would appear that if Aston Villa aren't able to sign Glen Whelan, their backup option would be Joe Ledley, and once again, quite a similar player in a similar mould to Glen Whelan really. Villa definitely need a player who can fill the spot of Niall McGinn when he's not fit to play. You know, he is getting on a bit, and they need either a Glen Whelan or a Joe Ledley sort of player to step into that midfield, in my opinion. And then guys, to wrap up the video, the last transfer rumour currently going around the Championship is that of Famara de Hughes. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but he is a Senegalese striker from the League 1 who is currently being linked with a move to Bristol City, of course. Bristol City definitely in need of a striker, and I mean, if Bristol City managed to go ahead and unlock another gem of a striker, that would just be incredible for them. I mean, for the last 2 seasons, they've had both Jonathan Kodjia and Tammy Abraham, so really it's crucial that Bristol City go ahead and bring in a top quality striker, because if they don't manage to do that, looking at, in my opinion, a manager who is quite tactically inept in Lee Johnson with another squad who currently does have a few other holes, Bristol City could be in a bit of trouble next season if they don't go ahead and get that marquee striker. So this guy last season in League 1 managed to score 8 goals and is also coming from the same club who Jonathan Kodjia came from, so he could be another gem for them. So there you have it guys, that will wrap it up for this episode of the Championship Transfer Rumour Roundup. If you guys have enjoyed the video, make sure you do leave a like, it is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you check out all the other links in the description down below. Make sure you subscribe for regular Championship content, but apart from that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.